friends, welcome back to my channel Bag Borrow Brew. I'm Arya Roy. I'm an assistant brand manager at L'Oreal India, and on this channel I share experience starting with my MBA to post MBA career and a lot of things that I like and love in between, ranging from travel to cold brew.
Go. Hi guys, in today's series of No One Size Fits All, I have with me Sagar Chaudhary, one of my very interesting friends and connections that I built through my MBA and getting to travel to China. So I met Sagar at Fudan University, which is based in Shanghai, China, because of the NUS MBA S3 Asia program, has a tie-up with Fudan University. Sagar, who's originally from Nepal, pursued his graduation from Christ University, Bangalore, and moved to Fudan University for his MBA. Sagar is currently a marketing and public relationships manager at China-Accelerator, which is a company based out of Shanghai, China. He's also the producer of a podcast series called China Startup Pulse. So Sagar, very, very glad to have you on the series. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Arya. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
So I truly believe that Sagar's profile is particularly interesting for anyone who's looking to build a career in China and more importantly within the startup ecosystem in China. So let's dive straight into asking him questions so that we understand more about his profile. So Sagar, first take us through your current role and help us understand more about your company and what you do out there.
Of course. So as you mentioned already, I currently work as the marketing and PR manager at China Accelerator, and we also have our podcast series, which is called China Startup Pulse. Very soon we will rebrand it to Asia Startup Pulse. So I mean that is something that I'm really excited for. China Accelerator is a global accelerator which is operated by VC fund SOSV, and we have $855 million worth assets under management. So we were also one of the most active early stage investors in the world. Last year, like 2020 Q2, we were the most active early stage venture capital fund. And what we primarily do is we help internet startups expand across borders. So in my current role, I work with several of our portfolio companies, and I mean I help them with their marketing and PR efforts, as well as helping with our internal marketing and PR initiatives.
Oh, that's really interesting. So I think my very next question to you would be why China? Why did you particularly think of going for an MBA there, and what particularly about the startup scene there interests you so much?
Mm-hmm. So I guess I've always been bullish on China. I remember when I was in high school, I guess most of my classmates wanted to go to the US for their undergrad. But for me, I believed then, as I believe now, that Asia is the future. And my family also did a lot of business in China since early 2000s. Okay. So I was, always very inclined towards China. So when I finished my undergraduate studies, it just felt like the perfect opportunity for me to come. So I've been traveling to China since 2012, and that was mostly for work. And each time I was here, I was, mesmerized by the pace of development and technological advancements that were happening here. So I think it was in 2015, I took the leap of faith and I just decided to move here full time. To answer your second question, the startup scene. So the startup scene, I got interested in the startup scene, I guess, the very first year I was here. And also because it's just such an inclusive community, and the energy is very infectious. So, they say New York is the city that never sleeps. Shanghai is the city that never sits. Everybody's on the move. There's always a lot of things happening all the time. And again, if you look at any major city in China, right, startup hubs Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hangzhou, Beijing, Guangzhou, Chengdu, you will see that these are all melting pots of global ideas, right? People from all over the world trying their to launch their startups or like trying to expand their startups in the country. And I guess like, even if the language can be a huge barrier, uh, I've noticed that it does not really stop a lot of people from actually coming to China. You would see like people, if you like talk to like anybody, like any expat here, uh, in most cases you'll find that, oh, how did you move to China? The answer you would probably get is, I don't know, I just like bought a flight ticket and I was here. Like I didn't think about like anything else. So that's the like spontaneity you find here. And again, China has like one of the largest VC markets, so that also tends to attract a lot of startups or like people interested in the ecosystem.
Fair enough. Just for my viewers to understand, Sagar moved to China way back in 2015 to actually learn Chinese, and then he enrolled into the MBA program at Fudan University for the batch of 2016-2018. So that takes me to the next question, which is why Fudan University for MBA, Sagar? What particularly interested you about the program at Fudan?
Uh, I guess like so you've actually answered like part of the question for me there. So I think doing my MBA at Fudan was actually like a no-brainer to me. So when I moved here in 2015, it only made sense that I learned Chinese because for me, I had done my undergrad in India, right? So I had seen the how the Indian like business ecosystem is. Like I'd been there for like uh, like well over like 4 years at the time. And so like China was the next step in my career path. And I only figured that like if I want to live here, if I want to understand the market, learning Chinese makes sense. So I enrolled in the language program. And I guess it was also like a combination of many factors, like getting a reputed degree. Like, I mean, that is, I think, like number one. But while I was doing my language program, when you meet like a lot of people at like networking events, I would often get asked, like, what do you do? Like, I was like, I'm a student at like Fudan University. And everybody would be like, wow, that is something. Like, I mean, I did not know at the time, but
the value that Fudan has.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's top 3 in the country, but also it's one of the hardest schools to get in for, let's say, at least like local Chinese students, right? Like they have like huge competition. So, I mean, Fudan had a program with MIT, the one which I took. So, I mean, it had the reputation, it had the the MIT name, and it had the value. So I was like, it's a combination of all these mixtures, so why not? So yeah, that's how I chose the Fudan MBA program.
Fair enough. I think anybody from the China ecosystem always knows the name Fudan and it resonates to them. And it's very important if you are looking to be in China, in the startup ecosystem, why not, right? Have a degree from that country itself. So that brings me to the next question, which is how did you then land a role in the current company that you are post your MBA?
So before my MBA, I primarily worked in accounting and finance roles. And I mean, so like that was my undergrad degree. I had a degree in like finance. So like when I tell people that, like, how did you move to marketing? So, it's like you're like jumping a different tangent altogether. So during my MBA, I took that as an excuse to spend more time to grow my network and try out different things. And that's when I came across a lot of different opportunities. Some happened to be in the marketing roles. So I worked in like different industries at the time. I worked in media, I worked in education, I did a lot of work in the blockchain space, and then I worked for brokerage firms. And during this time, I developed an interest in marketing and public relations. And yeah, like, I mean, over time, it just like sort of happened. Like, I mean, I would say like I wasn't actively looking for it, but I guess like it's just like a combination of like all the things that I'd done in the past and being in the right time at the right place, I guess.
So do you think the kind of networking events that Fudan had to offer kind of facilitated this move for you?
Um, I would like yes and no. I mean, like the school did have a lot of events, right? But I think it's always important to take the initiative. I tended to do that. Like, I mean, I attended a lot of events like which were not part uh, of like school activities. Like it wasn't organized by the school. We weren't like
Sure.
told about it. So I mean, I went around like so like I mean, probably like how WhatsApp is popular in India. Like WeChat
Mm.
is like I mean everybody knows like WeChat is everything in China. So I mean, I was
Yeah.
like in all these like different WeChat groups, like talking to different people, understanding. Okay, like there's an event today, there's an event tomorrow. I'd go out
Mm.
to all these events, meet these people, and actually, I think two of the three internships that I uh, ended up doing like during my time at Fudan came through like these networking events because I met these people and like when they were hiring like it was actually just like easier for me to get my foot in the
In
door.
the door.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, fair enough. I think very important question, which surely comes out to most people, and also considering the path that you followed, help the viewers understand how critical is it to have Chinese as a language skill set if you're looking to have a career in China. Do you currently use Chinese on a day-to-day basis for your role, or can you say that there are some exceptions where people without the language skill set can actually cross over and move?
That's a very, very good question. Uh, and is Chinese like very important? I would say it is. Like, I mean, if you're somebody who's like very early on in your career, for example, right? Learning the language, I think, is very important, at least now. So, I guess if somebody came to China maybe 10 years or even like 5 years ago, right? Just English would suffice because you didn't have like that many English speaking people. But again, like
Of
in the
course.
last 5 years or so, uh, with the development that's happening here, right? Like standard of living rising, you see a lot of Chinese expats like who probably work in the States, in Canada, like in the West, right? They're coming back now. If your only unique proposition, right, in terms of like language skills is English, then you're not really bringing much to the table. So it's actually gotten like that much more difficult.
Mm.
But having said that, I wouldn't say that like it is absolutely necessary. Like disclaimer, like my Chinese, like even after 5 years, it's conversational. I would not consider my Chinese to be like fluent enough to be used in like a high level business setting. Um,
Okay.
and just to be on the safe side. Uh, and that is also because like my role is like I'm based in China, or like we're based in Shanghai, but we work with companies across the world. So even though I'm here, like my market is a global market, right? So I'm catering to a global audience. But if you're somebody who's interested to come and work in China for like let's say a big multinational, then most definitely your market, your target market is going to be Chinese consumers. So again, you're not bringing much value if you don't speak the local language, you don't understand the local culture. So yeah, like I mean that's quite important. uh, but again, like I guess if you live in China, uh, I think it's good good for you to know the language, because if you're using any local delivery apps, ride-hailing apps, or anything as such, right? Day-to-day conversation at shops, like you would still need like some Chinese. It's not absolutely necessary, but I would consider like this something that everybody should consider.
Fair enough. I think one very important point and a very key takeaway for all the viewers is that it's really good to have. You can be an exception, but majority are following that path. So why not have that skill set, right?
Exactly.
I finally want to ask you, Sagar, are there any 2 points based on your experiences so far that you would like to share that can help the viewers carve out a path similar to yours, going into China, working in China, or even the
Hmm.
startup ecosystem?
Sure. So I hope it does not sound very philosophical, but this is something like that I've done and I actually like feel that it makes a lot of sense to me, and I hope it makes sense to the viewers, is you must be willing to take a chance on yourself and push your limits, right? Like, don't be afraid of trying out new things. If I look back at my life, I mean, I literally moved to Shanghai on a whim. Like, I mean, one fine day, I was actually for business, like I came to for business here. And then I just decided to, like, you know what, I'm going to go to Fudan, like sign up for this course, which I did. And then within a month, I packed my bags and I was here, right? And I haven't looked back. I mean, 5 years and I'm still here. Over the course of time, like I've grown a lot, like professionally, and I mean, like I've had a lot of like good opportunities here. So I think that, like, it's very important not to let like the fear of failure hold you back, right? And
Yeah.
especially if you're somebody early on in your career, like, I mean, even like if you're in your late 20s, for example, I consider that still early, right? Because as you grow older, it just becomes that much more harder to take risks, because like you have more responsibilities, and you can make mistakes early on, because we have a saying at Chinaccelerator, like you fail, but like fail faster, right?
True.
So that you have time to like rectify that mistake. And
Yeah.
yeah, my
Interesting.
second learning, or like second experience that I would share, I guess, would always be open to new ideas, and constantly, like, try to reinvent yourself and stay relevant. When I say like be open to ideas, is, I mean, if we look at the kind of problems that the world is going through right now, I mean, I feel like a large part of it would be solved, like, if people were just like willing to like listen to like other people's opinions, right? Like, I mean, you don't actually have to like necessarily have to agree with somebody, but like you can like just try to understand like other person's point of view, right? And I guess, like, even as individuals, like, it is very important to always be open to learning, right? Like, learn new things. I mean, does not really have to be like on your core. Like, I mean, if you're like somebody who's in like finance, right? Like just finance, then don't just like be like, have like a tunnel vision. Try to expand your scope, right? And I guess you'll agree with me when I say this, that learning does not leave school, right? I guess, like, learning actually starts when you're in school, and no matter like which school you go to, what degree you have, that does not help you solve every problem that you're going to face at the workplace, right?
True.
And I mean, like, I would say, like, think of your brain like it is a smartphone. How you need to like update your operating system like every once in a while. You need to do that with your brain also, right? Like, you don't want to end up like a Nokia or something.
Very well put. I think two wonderful points. I think about taking chances and staying relevant and constantly reinventing yourself. So if I have to just summarize that, very important, and especially for someone, if you're looking for startup and China, how dynamic the marketplace is, it's even more relevant. Sagar, the five question that I want to ask you is, what's next for you? I know it's going to be a very difficult question to answer. There must have been a lot of introspection that you've gone through over the last few months, years. So help us understand that.
Like you already said, it's a very difficult question. And yeah, like, I mean, I don't think I have like a very good answer to this question, because I think, like, what's next for me, I guess I'm very happy with where I am at the moment, because like, I've always had this passion to working with startups. Like, I mean, for the past 4 or 5 years, I think I've either worked for a startup, or I've like worked with several startups in like in some capacity. So this current role, it allows me to work with dozens of our portfolio companies, and like every new addition to our batch. I think right now we have 187 startups in our portfolio. I mean, we don't get a chance to work with them like every day, but like every day I'm learning new things, because again, all these companies come from different industries, like different verticals. So I am soaking it all in. I guess what would be next for me is like, hopefully one day I can take all these learnings and start my own startup. Like I guess that would be the dream. Uh, but then again, if 2020 has taught me anything, I guess if it's taught everybody anything, is that we cannot be sure like what's gonna happen.
True.
And so yeah, I guess like I'm just gonna go with the flow and see where the road takes me.
Interesting. So have you zeroed in on any particular industry or a product line that you are interested or inclining towards?
Industry. I think I definitely see myself in the internet space, like I guess like it would be more on the blockchain / DeFi space. That is something I'm personally very interested in. And so yeah, I think that is probably like going to be the next venture.
Okay, you don't have to divulge any more secret information that you cannot already. But yeah, okay, good to know. Thank you so much for being on this show today, Sagar, and sharing with viewers more about China, the whole startup ecosystem, how you got into the role, and the importance of having Chinese as a language skill set. So thank you so much, and it was a pleasure having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Arya. It's been a blast, like having this call with you, and I hope the viewers enjoy this episode. Like, share, and subscribe, guys.
Thank you for that insight.